Bluegrass music is one of the most unique and amazing cultural phenomena that our nation has ever seen. This style of music, however, finds its earliest roots from those who first settled this land we call home today.
I guess bluegrass is I would consider it to be kind of a purely American creation. You had I guess, a lot of the immigrants coming over here from, well, I would say it probably gets its roots a lot in Ireland and Scotland.
Immigrants that came from England, the Welsh, the Scottish, the Scots, the Irish. Our music today was influenced by those people.
And all of this style music was based on what came to the pioneers that came to this country and brought with them, and a lot of it was from Ireland, from the Welsh part of Europe, and from Scotland and Great Britain. So those four areas pretty much were the basis for that style of music that has become bluegrass.
As the years passed, America was born, and the roots of bluegrass continued to develop through families and heritage.
Even back as far as the Civil War, it's been passed down. My father told me that his, great-grandfather used to play a fiddle and an old banjo that just had a head made out of catgut. The head of the banjo. Uncle John, my great uncle, is probably the farthest back I can remember knowing. But he played fiddle somewhere around 1880. So I think it may have been his father or maybe even his grandfather. But it was handed down.
The popularity of this type of music spread, and soon there were many things influencing what was at this time still called old-time music, not yet referred to as bluegrass.
No, it wasn't called bluegrass music. It was called old-time music or hillbilly music. That's what it was called.
Bluegrass actually is like it's like a big soup pot, because it uses there's elements of jazz, there's elements of gospel music, there's elements of country music and folk music.
As the radio became America's new medium for entertainment, this gave old-time music the stage it needed to become a phenomenon.
My first introduction to this music was listening to a battery-operated radio that my dad owned, and my grandparents and several people. And our entertainment, many times we didn't listen to the radio a lot, but on Saturday night was the Grand Ole Opry, and we would listen to this program on Saturday night, and this was a family get-together entertainment, and I really began liking this music as a young child.
There's a radio station out of Nashville, Tennessee called WSM that carried the Grand Ole Opry, come on every Saturday night. And as a kid, the radio in our house every Saturday night played all night.
With radio bringing music to the masses, old-time music developed into bluegrass music, mainly through the influence of Bill Monroe.
When kind of the term bluegrass came about, and that was because of Bill Monroe. And he'd been playing this style of music since, well, I guess he kind of started back in the 40s. Bluegrass really was not a style of music that they call bluegrass, and wasn't even played until after World War II, pretty much is what the historians say about it. But in 1965, they had all these guys that were professional musicians that were playing this style of music, and they were starting to do all these festivals, and they had to have something, they wanted to call it something. So what they did is they coined the phrase bluegrass music, because Bill Monroe was the Mac Daddy at the time of this style of music. And he was from Kentucky, which is the Bluegrass state, so there you go. That's kind of where the name
It was when I was a baby in my crib listening to Bill and Rod and the Grand Ole Opry. That's when my mom and dad said that when Bill would come on, I'd start jumping up and down and slapping my hands. And later on, I'd ride my rocky horse in time to his music when he'd come on the radio. And when I was 3-year-old, they gave me a little record player and 3 Bill Monroe records. And I spent my days sitting playing.
Bluegrass was born, and it would soon find a very comfortable home in Transylvania County. Bill Monroe and many others would play many shows, and soon Transylvania County would have its own bluegrass artists.
Bluegrass, the founder, quote, bluegrass music, and this started, I believe, in the early to mid-40s, was Bill Monroe from Kentucky. And he actually, with his band, came to Rosman.
Many shows came into Rosman High School, and they played, like I told you, the Monroe brothers played that old show building up there in Rosman back in the mid-30s, and then Bill Monroe played the courthouse. When he first went to the Grand Ole Opry, he played the courtroom up here. And then later, the first time I ever got to see Bill Monroe, I was 7-year-old, and he came and played Rosman High School. But Charlie Moore and Bill Napier and all of them, Carl Story, a lot of them played the high school. And then, of course, you had Roy Chapman and Joe Byers and them. They were playing all over the county. And Wolf Rogers and his band, they had shows all over the county, playing community centers and that sort of thing.
Among these Transylvania County artists was Roy Chapman and Joe Byers.
I went from that. There was only I was about 18 or 19 years old when I joined the Carolina Mountain Boys. Then we started playing square dances and started playing the fiddle. I learned to play the fiddle, mandolin, and so that's how I got started. And at one time, I don't know of any more fiddle players that was around at that time. Traveled with Charlie Moore and the Dixie Partners. I was a fiddle player for them. And we played all over the country in Southline, up to King Recording Studios, though I didn't get to record that day. They had Don Marino and Rich Smiley. They was a record, so they you just had to come by and take a chance. So I didn't get to, I never was on no CD or nothing with Charlie, but I played with them all the time. Near around Southline and Georgia, and several places where it was close. That's where I played with them. But I did go on the road with them, and I knew that wasn't for me. I mean, I liked it, but I want to be home with my family, so I gave it up, and I never did. I've been playing around home here for all of my life. And so that's where I started.
Staying and playing bluegrass in Transylvania County for many years, Roy Chapman and Joe Byers became what many would consider the fathers of Transylvania County bluegrass.
Roy Chapman and Joe Byers were probably, I would say, the first well-known bluegrass group, known as bluegrass, to come out of Transylvania County.
Roy Chapman, he's local. Everybody in the county knows Roy. Everybody in the county knows Joe Byers, and those are two of my favorite local bluegrass players. Certainly take pride in our local people who have given so much time, and Roy Chapman and Joe Byers have donated so many hours to the bluegrass music and to benefits to help people. It would just be amazing if we knew how much money has been given through the goodness of our people. And that's another thing that stands out, I think, with our local people that's influenced the music getting together, not especially a music festival per se, but a benefit to help people that needed help. And that is where bluegrass has influenced to the good.
Due to the influence of Roy Chapman, Joe Byers, and other local artists, Transylvania County has become an oasis for the development of bluegrass artists and groups, including the nationally acclaimed Steep Canyon Rangers, who find their roots from within Transylvania County.
Well, I can't complain about scraping by while others got it bad. I got